Welcome to KTN Prime. I'm Ben Kitili.
I'm Linda Ogutu. William Sila is a sign language interpreter tonight.
Several people are feared dead after flash floods hit Narok town this afternoon.
Residents say the floods originated from River Narok, which burst its banks after heavy downpour in the town. Eyewitnesses say up to 5 vehicles were swept away in the incident that is not new to the town. It is, however, unclear if there was anyone in the vehicles. Narok now joins other places around the country that are bearing the brunt of open skies with infrastructure that is not able to contain rainwater. Police have confirmed receiving reports of very serious flash floods in Narok, but said there was no immediate information on the extent of the damage. Scary scenes there, I must say. Let's bring in Benedetta Mwaura, our Narok correspondent. Benedetta, if you can hear me, how bad is the situation at the moment?
Linda, the situation is as we speak. People are with their loved ones. We have witnessed several cars washed away by floods around town. And so far, that one collapsed. There are reports that several people have been swept away, and the rescue mission has been halted until tomorrow to ascertain the magnitude of the damage. And the authorities are calling on the residents of Narok town.
Benedetta, you okay? I can hear some noise behind you. Is everything okay? What's going on?
Actually, the rescue mission has been halted and
having trouble, Benedetta. Hold on, I'm having trouble hearing what exactly you're trying to say. Let's see if we can reestablish that line and see if you can let us know what is going on in Narok. Benedetta Mwaura there giving us an update of what's going on in Narok. There were flash floods. There are fears that people may have died in the flash floods. Let's see if we can get more information from her probably in the next coming minutes. Let's now take you all the way to Kisumu and the mayhem at the Kisumu County Assembly, where Deputy Speaker Pamela Josi had to be rushed to hospital following a scuffle at the Assembly. Despite an assurance given by the rival factions to court leader Raila Odinga, the MCAs fought again today as they struggled to kick out the embattled Deputy Speaker. Take a look at what happened.
We have to follow the constitution.
Before the beginning of the decision, Deputy Speaker Pamela Josi was seen in an argument with other members of the Kisumu County Assembly. Soon after, it was the time to march into the Assembly. At the door of the Assembly, the Sergeant-at-Arms blocked Pamela from gaining entry into the House, forcing her to turn wild as she made loud noises following the incident. It took the help of her driver, assembly guards and members of the public who had now stormed the assembly to carry her to her car that sped off afterwards. Drama at the assembly started after Josi vowed to chair the session as ordered by co-leader Raila Odinga after a meeting with the assembly leadership. While a faction allied to the majority leader Samuel Ongo insisted that acting Speaker Gabi Lucheng should steer the assembly sessions. A week ago, Pamela hit headlines when she broke into the Speaker's office after she found it locked. Pamela insists she will continue acting as the Speaker since Anne Adul was impeached, though she took the matter to court.
I have my key with me. I know I'll break it again. I'll break the padlock. I'll break it even 10 times.
The wrangles at the Kisumu County Assembly have almost paralyzed the county, forcing co-leader Raila Odinga to attempt a reconciliation meeting 2 weeks ago. Victor Ogale, KTN, in the county of Kisumu.
Let's bring in Frank Otieno from Kisumu. Frank, this doesn't look good. What issues do the county assembly members have with her?
Yes, thank you very much, Linda. It's true that it's very ugly here, and what we really witnessed this evening, it tells you a lot. Since devolution took effect in this country, Kisumu County has never had any peace. You remember, Speaker Anadul has been really battling with the MCAs, and of course, also the executive has been also on her neck and so on. So what we have been seeing actually has been what we can refer to as supremacy battles between the executive and the legislative arm of this government. And now Pamela Josie is just trying to get what the wrath that was supposed to be gotten by the Speaker, who is currently out because of impeachment, and also she's struggling with some kind of case within EACC, some graft case, of course, as you are aware about that, the list of shame. But what we saw today is that she was trying to respond to a resolution that was reached when the former Prime Minister was here, being the party leader, Raila Odinga, was here on 18th of April this month, and Raila kind of brought them together, and there was some kind of consensus between the county assembly members who really felt that after Anadul had been impeached, then they felt that they had to have one of their own, one who would be very friendly to them, and in this case they had somebody called Gabriel Ochieng, who is the MCA for Kondele Ward, to be the acting speaker. But you see now, when the former Prime Minister came here, he really had issue with them. He was telling them that according to the Constitution, we do not have a post called acting speaker, and therefore to him, he was kind of giving them an elderly advice that they should really read the Constitution and accommodate the deputy speaker to be presiding over the sessions in the assembly chambers.
Okay, and, Frank.
You see now,
Frank, you've been covering this story for a while. So where exactly does this leave the leadership within the county assembly?
Well, it's all about wrangles that come with the challenges that come with the devolution, because devolution, as we are aware, all across the country, it's not been very smooth. You look at Governor Wambora, look at Governor, all governors have been having these issues here and there. What I'm saying is that it only takes these people to sit down and to maybe to listen to each other, because for now they are not listening to each other, they're just talking anyhow, and they don't want to read the Constitution and to understand that they have got an oversight role, because for what's happening in Kisumu right now is that the county assembly members are not really playing their oversight role. What they're doing is that they're trying to be very friendly to the executive, and that way it really makes them very vulnerable in terms of the mandate.
Okay, Frank, we understand that Pamela Josie is admitted in hospital. Do we know how she's faring on at the moment?
Thank you. You are right. She was rushed to Avenue Hospital, actually, and when she got there, she was not very conscious, because we are also informed that she's been grappling with an ailment, diabetes, of course, and then she also has got some high blood pressure, which we are sure that the doctors will be advising her that she should really go slow on some kind of activity that can really make her become hyper. So she was rushed to hospital, and up now we can confirm that she's still undergoing treatment.
Okay. All right, Frank Otieno speaking to us from Kisumu. Thank you so much. Of course, we hope that she gets better very soon. All right, and that story from Kisumu forms the basis of our big question tonight. And we are not asking a yes or no kind of question. We are looking for your comments on that assault in Kisumu.
Indeed, the drama and the intrigues of the Kisumu County Assembly is the basis of a big question. We are telling you what your comments are. We are asking for your comments on the assault on the Kisumu Deputy Speaker. Be sure to send them to our SMS line 22155. Also tweet us at Ben_Kitili, at KTN Kenya, and at Linda Ogutu. Now, barely 48 hours after the government issued a notice for the Mao evictions, at least 500 homes have been burnt down by the Kenya Forest Service Rangers. Residents of Kipkeino village in a section of the Mao forest are bearing the brunt and are scared of imminent disease outbreak. Hundreds of families have been forced to sleep in the open forest after their homes went up in flames. KTN's Najma Ismail now reports.
They watch helplessly from a distance as their houses burn down to the ground. The heavy smoke billowing from each house is an indication of belongings and memories destroyed.
People are moving out of this forest or out of this place in their own will. Now you wonder how then and who then is burning these houses, who's bringing these houses down.
As if the destruction of homes is not enough, the evictees who are camping at Kipchoge Trading Center are now facing disease outbreaks. With the ongoing rains and lack of basic amenities, they risk contracting pneumonia and cholera since they have no shelter or toilets.
Watoto wako na homa na hii na vile tunanyeshewa, unaona manyumba yenye tunaishi, wamama ndio hii wanapepa mzigo na tuko na shida. Tunaomba serikali watusaidie kwa hii tabu tuko naye.
The evictees have reiterated that they know no other home and they will not agree to be relocated. The Emuru Adikir MP, Johanna Ngeno, is faulting the Narok County Commissioner Arthur Osia and the Kenya Forest Service officers for issuing the notice for the settlers, which he says was not in their mandate.
Hakuna mahali ingine penye tutaweza kupeleka watoto wetu. Hata mimi peke yangu sijui mahali penye nilikuwa natokea. Sasa county commissioner anakuja kutuambia mko na mashamba ingine huko kwenu. Kwetu ni wapi?
Raia lazima wakuwe na haki ya kusoma na haki ya kuishi. Kwa hivyo ningependa niambie serikali ya kwamba yale maneno ambayo yanaendelea hapa ndani hapa ni maneno ya kuhuzunisha.
Karibu sana.
Several other leaders condemned the evictions, terming them brutal. Baringo's Senator Gideon Moi said that talks between the Ministry of Environment and leaders drawn from Bomet, Kericho, Narok and Nakuru counties should begin immediately.
Wakati huu ambayo inanyesha, ambayo ni baridi, mvua tele, watu wetu wametolewa in a very inhuman and brutal manner. It is totally unacceptable. We do not and will not accept in the manner that they've been treated.
Security around the Mau has been heightened since the notice on Sunday to discourage more encroachment into the forest. Najma Ismail, KTN Prime.
Been exposed to radioactive or other hazardous materials in the course of your duties. Contact your radiation.
Right, tonight the National Environmental Management Authority remains on the spotlight over the lead poisoning of dozens of residents of Owino Uhuru slums by the metal refinery EPZ Limited.
Well, NEMA is shifting the blame over the operations of the company to the Mombasa District Health Officer John Ndung. Now, the factory is at the center of a lead poisoning saga which has led to the death of children and brought untold suffering to the residents of Owino Uhuru slums in Mombasa.
Rita Tinina has the details. Death, suffering and shattered lives. The agony of residents of Owino Uhuru slums in Mombasa County dealing with the effects of lead poisoning from the metal refinery EPZ Limited. Their plight was exposed by KTN's Jichopevu, Futari ya Sumu by Mohammed Ali and John Allan Namu's Inside Story, Plague for Profit. As residents continue crying out for justice, the big question remains: how and why did authorities allow metal refinery EPZ Limited to operate without adhering to environmental protection guidelines to ensure workers and residents were not exposed to lead emissions? The National Environment Management Authority, which issued the metal refinery EPZ Limited with an operating license in February 2008, is laying the blame on the Mombasa District Health Officer John Ndungu. In a statement, the Director General of NEMA, Professor Geoffrey Wahungu, says NEMA issued a closure order to the factory on the 3rd of October 2013, following complaints over the operations of the factory. But the factory would soon be up and running again. Professor Wahungu says John Ndungu, the Mombasa District Public Health Officer, gave NEMA an inspection report confirming that the factory had complied with all the conditions required. According to Professor Wahungu, Ndungu recommended that the cessation order be lifted and the company allowed to resume operations.
But did NEMA independently verify that all was well at the factory? Metal Refinery EPZ Limited was later to transfer its environmental impact assessment license to Max Industries Limited on the 26th of April 2013. But the operations remain the same, only under a new name. An audit by an interagency inspection team found illegal operations by Max Industries, and the factory was ordered closed on the 27th of November 2013. The Mombasa County Director of Environment says tests to establish the level of lead toxicity in Owino Uhuru slums will be carried out.
There must be more tests to be done. Soil sampling, water sampling.
NEMA, it appears, slept on the job, and Jicho Pevu and the Inside Story did what NEMA should have done in the first place. In Futaria, Sumu, and Plague for Profit, Mohammed Ali and John Alanamu contracted experts to establish the level of toxicity not only in water and soil, but also in the blood of 55 people. All the 55 had traces of lead in their blood. The water and soil samples also had traces of lead. 2 days after the KTN expose first aired, a team of NEMA officers tried to access the abandoned Max Industries factory. They were at first denied access by people guarding the facility, but later managed to gain entry. NEMA says it has started a decommissioning strategy for the facility, a move that will come a little too late for Owino Uhuru residents whose lives have been changed forever by lead poisoning. Rita Tinina, KTN.
Exposed to radioactive or other hazardous materials in the course of your duties. Contact your radiation.
It is a developing story that we shall continue to follow up for you. Now, there has been both jubilation and shock as different sets of the Kenyan society digest the court ruling allowing the registration of a gay rights body.
A three-judge bench of the High Court last Friday ruled that the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission be registered as a non-governmental organization as per the Constitution.
KTN's Catherine Omando explored this landmark ruling. Now reports.
There's some people who would think in a very pedestrian.
Funjeri Gatero, as the legal advisor of the National Gay, Lesbian and Intersex Human Rights Commission, Friday's landmark ruling is a win for her commission and the group of Kenyans she aims to protect.
We were denied registration for about 3 years, since 2012. And I think late 2013 we went to court to ask the court to interpret to us whether we were as LGBTIQ identifying or LGBTIQ organizing persons, whether we were allowed to register an organization as within the stipulations of the Constitution of Kenya.
While the ruling is perhaps the bravest ruling since the promulgation of the new Constitution, it is a ruling that lawyer Harrison Kinyanjui believes should be reversed.
And now the court says that no, it's acceptable. You can be a homosexual and you can be a lesbian and not be discriminated against. In other words, you can come out in the open now. It's clear and you are protected.
I don't think that is true. We, as an organization, formed the organization because there was a clear need between the people who already identified as queer, lesbian, bisexual, intersex and transgender people. It was a need that was already there, meaning that there's already a constituency that is desiring of our services, you see, and our services are just to provide legal aid and to provide advocacy and also to document the violations against persons who identify as sexual or gender non-conforming.
According to the officials of the new commission, this legal advice will not be limited to gay men and lesbians,
nilizaliwa nikiwa na maumbile mbili.
But also to the intersex group, as well as people like Audrey Mbugwa, who believe that they are of a different gender than that which they were born. Both cases go beyond personal choice and preference and are actually considered medical.
Homosexual sexual conduct still remains illegal, and you know that hasn't changed yet. But then it is like it's so uplifting for us to see that the court is very conscious of the differences within the people who make up the Kenyan society.
While Harrison believes that the ruling should have been made based on religion, the court thought it best to do otherwise.
If 3 judges can sit and decide on behalf of the majority of the people of the Kenyan inclination against homosexuality, saying that no, you ought not to bring your biblical and Quranic views about homosexuality, we say it is not the law. They have said actually in the decision, which is here in paragraph 106, your Bible in your Quran does not count. If that is the basis of your objection, sorry, we have refused.
I wish to just remind the judiciary that we're the ones who make the laws of this country. And their job is to interpret the clauses of that law. But when they interpret those clauses wrongly, then the onus is on us to clearly and make it probably word by word of what it is that we mean.
There is a general assumption that it is the words gay and lesbian in the Commission's title that is irking those against the registration. The NGO board had originally refused to register the Commission. Their argument was that in the Penal Code, homosexuality is illegal. However, according to the Bill of Rights, every Kenyan has a right to be legally represented and has the right to be protected from violence. Religious leaders and anti-gay lawyers intend to appeal this ruling. Catherine Omwando, KTN.
It is a story that will definitely continue to elicit a wide array of views from Kenyans. Right, time now to switch gears to the International Criminal Court case against Deputy President William Ruto and former radio journalist Joshua Arap Sang.
Indeed, Alex Chamwada has the latest on the status conference. Chamwada?
Yes, there was a status conference at the International Criminal Court, but it was in a closed-door session. And there is no official communication from the International Criminal Court yet. Both Ruto and Sang were not in the court. They were represented by their lawyers. Now, what we know is that a new date for hearing has been set, and that is 26th May this year. And it's not clear whether the 30th prosecution witness will appear. Remember, the last session was forced to stop when the 30th witness failed to appear, even after being forced to appear. So the way forward really depends on that witness. Now, remember, the prosecution had presented 29 witnesses and 9 had been compelled to appear. Now, if I may go to the next slide, the question that you may be asking, what next when the prosecution closes its case? At one point it will have to close whether that witness appears or not. The defense had been allowed to file a no case to answer motion, and that is within 14 days after the prosecution closes its case. And that motion will not be more than 50 pages. That was what they had been told. Now, a negative verdict on the no case to answer motion would be a big blow to the Deputy President and Sang, as they really want the process to end there, no case to answer. So, but there will be, it depends, because the verdict would depend on the various counts, because the motion will be based on various counts. Now, remember, Ruto Sang trial started in September 2013, and on the board there you can see the charges that they are facing. Finally, another communication from The Hague is that, according to the ICC spokesperson, if I may move to the next slide, that the spokesperson of the ICC, Fadi Abdallah, says that the warrant of arrest against Walter Barasa is still valid and yet to be implemented. He says, quote, ICC counts on the cooperation of the Kenyan authorities to arrest and surrender Barasa to ICC. Barasa is wanted to face charges related to interfering with witnesses. And Linda and Ben, that's the latest from the ICC.
Chamwada, let's see how that pans out in the coming days. But on a different note, you have something else coming on Thursday, Daring Abroad. What is that going to be all about?
Yes, we've been featuring Kenyans working or doing business abroad. And on Thursday, I'll be featuring Kenyans who've bought land in Rwanda. You know, they've bought land and they're farming there big time. So literally, they have 2 homes in Rwanda and in Kenya.
And it's two-way, because there are those from Rwanda also, Rwandan citizens who bought property here, and I'll be telling you examples of those who bought property here. And all this is in the spirit of the East African integration. You know, we've just been hearing about the corporates, but individuals are taking advantage of that cooperation. I'm sure you'll be anchoring on Thursday. So meet you there.
Yes, Chamwada will be here on Thursday. Looking forward to that.
Yes, of course. And drama in Kisumu today, Linda. That is what we were basing our big question tonight on. We're telling you to share your comments on the assault on the Kisumu Deputy Speaker.
Indeed, and I tell you, we have lots of feedback, and lots of Kenyans have watched this. Quite a number of people are not amused, but John Walker says, what's wrong with people? You voted for a new constitution. Please sit back, enjoy democracy.
Daniel Fundi says, this is a shame to devolution and leadership of this country. So incompetent.
Sharon Jeruto says, that Senate is a disgrace. They should all go home and grow up first and first. So disappointing.
And James Ndula says the assault shows how the MCAs are illiterate, pocketing salary for nothing. They should go home.
Ben Muroki says any man who assaults a woman should have no business being in leadership at any level in Kenya. Those
are your tweets and SMSs. Keep them coming. Remember, we are telling you to share your views on what happened today in the County Assembly of Kisumu. For now, we take a short break. Don't go too far. We'll be back shortly with more news. Welcome back to the program.
There was intense lobbying ahead of election of new Public Accounts Committee leadership.
However, Rarieda Member of Parliament Nicholas Gumbo emerged the winner, beating his party chairman John Mbadi.
Gumbo was elected together with Kipkelion West Member of Parliament Jackson Ropp as the committee's vice chair. Aaron Ochieng reports from Parliament.
Rarieda Member of Parliament Nicholas Gumbo will now head the powerful Parliamentary Watchdog Committee for the remainder of the 11th Parliament's term after he was elected chair of the freshly constituted PSC. At the same time, Kipkelion West Member of Parliament Jackson Ropp was elected vice chairman.
As the new leadership of the committee, we are going to try what is humanly possible to bring back the reputation of the committee. As I make those brief remarks, let me say that in this, there are no winners and losers.
PSC is not only a watchdog, but we are oversighting on government expenditure. And it is not a simple task that is before us.
The election of the chairman and his deputy is seen as the first move in redeeming the committee's tainted image following bribery claims being probed by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
We want to hit the ground running so that there's always a full plate in this committee because you are looking at all anywhere that all the appropriations of the National Assembly goes. That is our mandate.
Gumbo, who belongs to the Orange Democratic Movement, was elected by 12 PSC members, beating his closest rival and also his party chairman, John Mbadi. The new PSC team saying they would hold their first meeting Thursday to set the agenda and catch up with investigations that had stagnated after the previous team was suspended.
We are nothing but fast among equals. We are not bringing anything special. Each of these members here have got their own expertise. We have pledged teamwork. We have pledged accommodation for each other. We have pledged respect for each other. And that is what is going to guide this committee.
The win by Gumbo was a bitter pill to swallow for Mbadi, who had been confident that he would win owing to claims that he was ODM's preferred candidate for the seat. The biggest task now facing the newly constituted Public Accounts Committee under Engineer Gumbo will be to erase memories of the past PSC that was leveled with corruption allegations. Aaron Ochieng, KTN, Parliament.
Good evening and welcome to KTN Business. TPS Eastern Africa has posted a 71% drop in pre-tax profit last year to 220 million shillings from 668.5 million in 2013 as the firm continues reeling from the impact of the rising insecurity in the country. TPS, which operates a chain of luxury hotels, lodges and tented camps across East Africa under its Serena brand, attributed the drop in profits to militant attacks that have scared away tourists. The hotelier had issued a profit warning in February saying its full-year profits for the year ending December 2014 would be at least 25% lower than the previous year. At the time, the hotelier said the leisure segment was the worst hit by the travel warnings, with the business segment taking a less severe blow. Western countries have advised against all but essential travel to the coastal region, which has crippled the tourism sector. The sector has also been hit by the introduction of value-added taxes on tourism services and park fees in 2013, which impacted Kenya's overall competitiveness and curbed the sector's performance. And of course, looking at more business, until April this year, billionaire Dawood Rawat was famous for holding the largest stake at Britam and a myriad of interests in businesses spanning more than 6 countries. But as Adelaide Changole now tells us, all this is not hanging in the balance as Rawat battles accusations that he used his elaborately laid out business empire to carry out a clever Ponzi scheme.
Over the last 3 weeks, the country has played witness to the unfolding financial crisis in Mauritius, brought about by the discovery of a 63.7 billion shilling Ponzi scheme. And Dawood Rawat, the man who held the single largest stake at insurance firm Britam and was chairman emeritus of the British American group of companies, is now a fugitive accused of profiting from an elaborate scheme to cook the books at BAI Mauritius. But how did the whole scam unfold? The crisis was triggered on April 3rd after the Bank of Mauritius revoked the license of Bremer Banking Corporation, which is part of Rawat's Seaton investment conglomerate, after liquidity crisis was determined to be partly the result of the Ponzi scheme. The Mauritian Central Bank had been providing Bremer with overnight lending every day for a month to deal with the crisis. And then the information came rolling in. While Mauritius law bars insurance firms from investing more than 10% of their assets in related parties, BAI Mauritius had 58% of its assets tied up in struggling related firms.
We invested policyholders' money into commercial companies, high street traders, hospitals, and car dealerships. If those investments are not performing, then this is where the trouble starts.
And while the company's regular insurance products, such as its various life cover, education and pension schemes held by 135,000 people were okay, the poison lay in 3 single premium investment products which offered unsustainable annual returns of up to 14%.
So when we look at the commitment at the end of December 2014, that was a mixture of, I think, let's say, more reasonably priced products, with some products that were offering returns that BAI just couldn't deliver.
According to the conservator, the assets of BAI Mauritius, which were initially valued at 89 billion shillings, were actually only worth about 45 billion shillings as at the end of December last year. At the same time, the company's total liabilities, estimated at 69 billion, were worked out to be worth 74 billion shillings, including 61 billion shillings that were the result of the controversial single premium schemes that government officials say was being run like a Ponzi scheme.
So from an investment point of view, BAI, I think, was a little bit, had a different approach, and they were investing in their own subsidiaries. And then those subsidiaries, in my view, were not performing. They were losing money, from the hospital to Iframak and to a number of smaller businesses.
The scandal has also exposed the intricate layout of Dawood Rawat's business empire, which spans everything from investments and insurance to financial management to banking to construction, healthcare, media, real estate and entertainment. The path to recovering from this crisis almost certainly involves the selling of the best performing assets, in this case the 14 billion shilling Britam shareholding. Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.
And of course, there were allegations that he had drawn a huge sum of money from Kenya, but the Mauritian government has denied that. The Tourism Regulatory Authority will begin the classifying, grading and rating of the country's tourism facilities starting June this year. As the country works towards establishing world-class assurance indicators for hospitality facilities, the exercise will cover the Western, Nyanza and North Rift tourism circuits before being rolled out to other regions.
March
March 2011, that was the last time the Tourism Ministry classified hotels in Kenya. At the time, the exercise was concentrated to Nairobi, the coastal region, and Masai Mara, where government captured and licensed establishments. Now, with the demand for global standards of facilities at hotels like rooms, parking space, food, access to Central Business District, the Tourism Regulatory Authority has published regulations to guide hotels in meeting standards agreed upon by the EAC criteria.
TRA is envisaged to ensure that the standards within the facilities in Kenya and in conjunction with the other regulators within the region are up to international standard.
As Kenya gears up for 3 global conferences this year, including the SCAL World Congress, the International Public Relations Forum meant to host over 21,000 delegates, pressure is high on the hotel industry to provide 5-star services.
We have more facilities than the other countries, so there's a lot of work for you.
Kenya's hotel industry is concentrated majorly in Nairobi County and the coastal counties of Mombasa, Lamu and Kilifi, with most hotels holding 3 to 5-star ratings. The rest of the country, especially the eastern, western and northwestern regions, have had the least rated hospitality services. However, with devolved government structures, the sector is expected to grow to the rest of the country. The grading of the hospitality facilities is expected to conclude by June 2016, and neighboring countries set to join Kenya in the classification process include Uganda, Rwanda and Burundi. The growing number of graft cases in the country threatens to erode Kenya's standing on the global front. According to the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the country could see a drop in foreign direct investments if this trend persists. Now, ISPAC is now calling for stern action on those found culpable. KTN's Abiagina reports.
Kenya's reputation as a favorable investment destination is taking a beating as tales of grand corruption continues to make headlines in the country.
List of 175 had 6 members of the institute.
And while commending the Kenyatta administration on working to institute far-reaching reforms aimed at cleaning out the public service, the accountants took issue with the fact that those named of alleged impropriety are yet to be cleared or formally charged.
You know, we receive quite a significant amount of money from diaspora, and if you are in diaspora and you know that there's a lot of corruption, you will be discouraged from bringing that money here. You want to invest somewhere.
According to Okundi, this state of affairs has a negative impact on the country, which has been on an upward growth trajectory thanks to a surge in foreign direct investments.
The corruption is very high. So what this means is that the investor has to put in extra costs in terms of due diligence, put in appropriate due diligence, both legal, financial and structural, to ensure that the transaction you are entering into indeed that does not haunt you in the future. So it makes investment in Kenya very expensive.
World Bank figures show that FDI grew from $258 billion in 2012 to $514 billion in 2013, with the figure still expected to soar. Kenya is ranked at position 145 out of 174 countries in the 2014 Corruption Perception Index, a harsh indictment over the country's standing in the fight against graft. Abiagina, KTN Business.
And finally, the Kenya Association of Stockbrokers and Investment Banks has welcomed the appointment of James Ndegwa as chairman of the Capital Markets Authority. In a statement to newsrooms, Kasib said this is the first time that the industry has the benefit of having a person well-versed in the financial markets industry sitting as the chairman of the CMA. James Ndegwa takes over from Kungu Gatabaki. And of course, as we wind up, we'll leave you with the financial markets report. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. Let's do business again tomorrow.
motorsports, Jasprit Charte and current Kenya National Rally Championship leader will lead out 49 drivers during this weekend's Kajiado Rally. Now the rally will be flagged off on Saturday, May 2nd. At the KCB Kitengela branch, Tapio Lokanen, the Finn, who led for 2 days during the KCB Safari Rally earlier this month, will also be competing alongside Onkarai, Baldev Chaga and Ian Duncan in a race that promises to be exciting.
After a rally action-packed Easter holiday, anticipation is high going into this weekend's Kenya National Rally Championship Kajiado leg, where drivers are expected to tackle 255.4 kilometers, 154 kilometers, 0.8 being the competitive section. After winning the ARC section during the Sasol Rally in South Africa, current Kenya National Rally and also the African Rally champion leader Jasprit Charte will be among the stars who will tackle the tough and rough terrain of Kajiado. Tapio Lokanen, commonly known as the Flying Finn, will be driving his Subaru Impreza navigated by Pasi Torma, vowed to make up the final day of the retirement at the safari. KNRC defending champion Baldev Singh Chaga remains determined to rack up his first win of the season. With the current heavy downpour, organizers remain optimistic to have an exciting time.
It's going to be a very, very interesting event because of the weather that we have this weekend. It's going to be challenging for the drivers, but for the spectators who come and watch cars getting stuck or going through mud, will be a very, very exciting episode this weekend.
It is with no doubt that the KCB rally continues to attract top-notch drivers from different cultural backgrounds.
The Kajiado rally will have 3 competitive stages to be repeated twice. The stage between Andy's Corner and Isinya, 50 kilometers, will be the longest, followed by Portland's Cement to Rifle Range stage, 28 kilometers, and 7 kilometers at the quarry. Moses Wahisi, KTN Sports.
Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. Let's look at our big question tonight. Before we wrap this up, we're focusing on the drama that happened today in Kisumu. That is the Kisumu County Assembly. And we didn't have a yes or no kind of question. We just were looking for your comments on that particular drama.
Indeed, and Oyengo Onyino on Twitter says, from the August House rape allegations to MP stripping of others, now Kisumu County drama.
Elias Kemboi says, that arrogant woman assaulted herself. She does not respect herself at all. She thinks she owns the house.
And Brian Nyakwada says, Kisumu MCs are nothing but a representation of goons.
At Soko Analyst, if you voted in 2017, marinate on that decision as we stew in the mess of such reckless leaders. If you didn't vote, shame on you.
Indeed, many thanks for participating in that big question and for joining us on your most qualified news bulletin in town, KTN Prime. My name is Ben Kitile. Good night from the KTN News Center.
I'm Linda Gutu. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.